Hi, my name is Heather and I'm a mental health social worker, and my training and background has been in New Zealand. I'm currently now employed with a Aboriginal health council in the Northern Territory as a mental health social worker. I'm actually based in a township where when clients come to town or come into the city, I follow them through for whatever reason they need to be, whether it's to see a psychiatrist or they need respite. In mental health, if you're a case manager, you're usually drawing on task-centred models, crisis intervention, because that's the clientele that you're working with, the group of people that you're sort of mainly dealing with. And another role that I've worked in where I was undertaking needs assessments, therefore you're using strength-based models that you're working from to look for their strengths. You're always keeping in mind that you're working from a recovery model approach. The focus is always about their strengths, and also bearing in mind too, whichever service that you're working for, that you need to work towards them relying on the services. So you need to not make them, but work towards being independent and less reliant on services. That's usually the ultimate game when you're working from a recovery model. When you're working in isolation, I think you have to be very sure about your practice and know that you're confident within your work. When you don't have a team around you or the support of other disciplines, you are left in isolation. It's not about putting your views onto them, and I think if you're working alongside them, you'll end up gaining their respect. It's not about trying to make them understand the way you live. It's about how they live, and for you to be mindful of their culture and what works for them best. So you can't go in there, sort of pushing your own views and values onto them. It's about what their views and values are for their world. Education is one of the biggest, because they don't want to leave their communities. Because the system doesn't provide further education after a certain level out on the lands, and also too because the children are very attached, they're young and they're very attached to their family ties. Leaving home at a young age is very scary, and so it's probably a breakdown in both circumstances. When we new employees with my organisation, is that we have a cultural weekend, and it was probably one of the most humbling experiences that I have encountered with Indigenous people. They were very informative about their land and their culture, and what meant most to them was their waterholes and how they preserve the land and cherish and look after the well-being of their community. That was quite a awesome time, because my experiences in New Zealand when it comes to cultural practices and cultural experience was that where Pākehā people are challenged frequently pertaining to the Treaty of Waitangi, and particularly about what Pākehā people did in the past, and how Māori felt about that. Whereas my cultural weekend with the Aboriginal people was completely different. All they wanted to do was to share their knowledge about the land, about what the waterholes meant to them. Not once did they ever criticise the white people or the white fella in terms of what white fella have done to their country, to their land, to their culture.